From our experience, I would say that you need to dedicate completely separate workforce for that, as the businesses are quite different, and naturally, if same person would be split across two sides, when something happens in the main business, the one that makes money for you at the moment, all the focus will be over there, and that new arm will be always delayed.
Today, we're joined by Rytis Meskauskas, Chief Revenue Officer at NordVPN. Rytis opens up about NordVPN's strategic entrance into the B2B market. Because you see, NordVPN actually initially serviced the B2C market only. But it is then through a fascinating journey from recognizing the untapped potential in their existing B2C base that they decided to launch a dedicated B2B offering. And so in today's conversation, we'll be talking about how they went about identifying the B2B opportunity within a B2C framework, the challenges of attacking the B2B market from zero, and mastering the art of running parallel B2C and B2B strategies without losing focus. So please enjoy from my conversation with Rytis. Hi there. Are you identifying anonymous companies visiting your website and automatically sending them to your CRM for sales team to convert? If not, you may want to check out Dealfront. It is Europe's leading go-to-market platform. With Dealfront, you can discover exactly what your website visitors are looking for and engage with the right leads at the right time with a message that captures their interest. By the way, they are already serving more than 10,000 clients across 27 European countries. To learn more about Dealfront, go at wearesales.com/Dealfront. Again, wearesales.com/Dealfront. And now, back to the episode. So can you maybe explain that diversification that NordVPN undergone?
Initially, we were focusing just purely on the consumer side of the business. But eventually, when we reached already a significant amount of the users using the product, we kind of discovered that there are some users, or eventually, as we discovered, companies that were using consumer product in their business life. It wasn't like clearly seen by us initially. And how did we discover that? So basically, some consumers started to approach our customer support asking for invoices. And typically, it's not what consumers ask for, especially with company credentials in it. So when we started to hear these requests more often from our support side, so basically we thought, so should we create it as a feature for a user to generate the invoice themselves, because it takes some labor over the time with certain amounts of requests. And in many cases, if the user is on a monthly billing cycle, so each month you would have to generate those invoices for them. So we started to analyze what is happening here, and we asked some of those users how they are using our product and why do they need these invoices for actually. And basically we discovered that there are quite some small, or in some cases even medium companies that saw our product as really beneficial to them and easy to use, easy to distribute. Just some small amendments for them were kind of needed at that point in time. So basically ability to generate invoice and time to time to change user, because companies, they have a change in employees. So basically if they subscribe to a yearly license, so they would rather want to switch the user who is using the license. And as well, that wasn't built-in feature, because in consumer life, you don't have this issue. And yeah, that was the trigger for us that, it might be really attractive part of the business for us. So we initially started to work a little bit to make it easier for these users to have those invoices created, as well helping them to transfer licenses to new employees, replacing the ones that were potentially leaving the company. And on the simultaneous side, we said, okay, so let's look a bit deeper into B2B needs and what we could do potentially better. And then we saw that, well, actually, if we want to focus to B2B, then we need to create a completely different product. In essence, it's something similar, but businesses has typically more specific needs. And one of our key differentiating points there is that, like for consumer, our key promise for them is no logs policy. So basically, we don't store any data about what they are doing online while using VPN. But on the business side, typically companies want to have all the information what employees are doing. So basically, just to ensure the company safety needs. So for that, we needed to build completely new and different infrastructure as well. So that's like the core product side, but as well the user management and so on. So yeah, we started to build completely new kind of, even I would say, business here, but of course applying a lot of knowledges that we had from the product side, from marketing side, as well. The customer support was used as well that we had in place. So yeah, we had a lot of things that we already had worked out, but of course there were quite new things for us to discover and to learn.
It might be kind of a stupid question, but I was also wondering why the need to create like an extra new, completely new product. Can you not just add extra features to the B2C product? Why that need for an extra product?
Yeah, so as mentioned, so one of our differentiating points is either storing logs or not storing. So basically, we wanted to make sure that non-users on a consumer side get somehow mistaken and treated as a, let's say, B2B users. And as well that there are a lot of different nuances that different functionalities are needed. And the VPN product for consumer is rather like a with different functionalities versus what a B2B use case is. So we saw that it will be pivoting quite a lot. So rather, we should make completely separate business unit, business entity, so they could develop all on their own and with every aspect of businesses in mind from the first point when we actually started to develop a business proposition.
Yeah. And I can also imagine that, I mean, that's probably elements that you will mention later on, but also I would say that in terms of pricing, in terms of offering extra additional services, like really the buying consequences of that B2B aspect can also have like an influence on, we need to create like a separate product because otherwise people will get confused and it's just going to be a mess.
Yeah, so like with consumer VPN, typically you use our provided servers. You don't have to spin out your own server. In B2B case, in many cases, businesses has their own infrastructure that they already running, and our software is kind of a complementary one, and we need to allow them to work quite differently from consumer side. So they have way more functionalities that they can add on top versus the consumers. Of course, the pricing is as well different, and so a lot of nuances. At first point, it seems like, well, businesses are using our consumer product, so maybe it's like a easy take. We just give them this product. We add a few small tweaks like invoice or user management, but it's just like a tip of the iceberg. The more you go into B2B, then you discover that, it's a kind of completely different type of the business, actually.
I can imagine, because feel free to bring us back at the transformation, at the transitioning moment. Like, what were the changes that you had to implement? what was new when it comes to people in terms of go-to-market motion, anything that was relevant to you?
Well, I can speak like from my side as at that point in time, I was as well consulting at that point in time new marketing team arm that we developed as well for this part of the business. So initially we started from what we knew the best, and it's like a digital marketing and like a self-served proposition. So basically, we advertise, consumers see us somewhere mentioned on the web, and they visit our website and they do the checkout themselves. So we started from this part naturally. As well, we had some communication to our existing user base, asking them if they would like to potentially either switch to B2B proposition if they are actually a business users, or maybe they have businesses they own or they work for, and they could recommend our B2B proposition. Also, we used as well, let's say, our existing user base as a nice start point.
May I ask? You mentioned that you got like a lot of signal coming from the market, people asking for invoices, people asking for user management features. But did you also proactively reach out to the market, to existing customers, to actually get an idea of, yes, there is a potential opportunity there in the B2B side?
So when we already launched the product, so we informed our user base that we have a B2B proposition in place, and if they need it for the personal businesses or the companies that they work for, so we asked them to recommend our software, or simply if you are using as a business user, actually just to switch to better product, better shaped for the B2B needs. So yeah, that was one of like a good points for us to kick off this business and to give initial sales flow. But yeah, that's just like a start. And in a business side, this self-served sales are just a initial starting point, which is like a relatively easy, and especially for us when we knew this environment and how to run marketing in this space. But we needed to create our sales team who works more in, let's say, traditional B2B sales manner. So that was completely new, let's say, for us, and that was something that we are still developing till nowadays.
Yeah, because how did you go about building that team?
So initially, we got some traction of sales, but we saw, and we were talking already as well with different other B2B businesses just to consult how could we better approach, and how should we be doing sales? Should we rely maybe just on this inbound sales requests, or should we do proactive outreach? So yeah, we soon discovered that this only inbound is not gonna fill up all the sales we would like to have. So we started to look for talents who could join the team and actually run this unit as well. We hired some external consultants who trained our newly built team on like outreach, how to find the leads, how to qualify them, and for the whole B2B sales funnel, how it should be structured.
Is it also those consultants that helped recruit the team, or did you go to recruiters, or did you actually recruit them yourself?
So as pretty much with everything, we tend to do everything we can in-house. So typically we hire external companies or consultants to teach us something new that we want to discover, or we just want to check if that technique works or not for us. But we are always like open with them that we want to bring in this know-how in-house. So sometimes we use these external consultants or companies to help, as well as screen some people if we don't have the knowledge in recruiting that specific position. But then as well, we try to bring in this knowledge even of hiring in-house and do pretty much everything on our own.
Hi guys, before we dive back into the episode, I've got something super exciting to share with you. Mark your calendars for May 16 because We Are Sales 2024 is happening. And this isn't just any conference, it is the conference for European sales leaders where you can expect to learn from the best and be surrounded by the most ambitious revenue leaders from Europe. And so whether you're an aspiring sales leader, sales director, VP sales, or chief revenue officer, the We Are Sales Conference is truly the place to be. Tickets are now available and you can grab your ticket by visiting our website at wearesales.com/conference. Again, it is wearesales.com/conference. And now back to the episode.
Because also like when it comes to talent, I mean, from all the conversation I've had so far, that's always like the most important, precious thing there is. Like that's when oftentimes also the biggest pain comes from. So I'm also wondering, like, have you, especially when B2B is new, because you come from that B2B, B2C setting, you have that support from external consultants, but still you want to do it internally. So I can also imagine there that it might have occurred that, having misrecruitment, bad recruitment has occurred. Is that something that happened as well? And if so, were there any learnings you could take out of it?
So definitely there were some like missed recruitments, basically. But when you see that it doesn't fit for one or another reason, and even the process that we might initially thought of how it should run, after a while you see that, well, it's not running like perfectly as you were imagining or designing initially. So you need to tune it up, and maybe you need a slightly different skill set in people that work with you. So we had developed that, and some people simply added, let's say, new skills to their experience, or we had to find the replacement. So naturally, doing everything for the first time, you obviously run into some pitfalls, and you cannot avoid those, I believe, at least in most of the cases. After a while, you get a sense what starts to work for you, what's the best thing. But in general, always the people that are flexible and keen to learn new things, with them you can achieve pretty much anything.
Mm-hmm. And top of mind, would you remember what one of those bumps on the roads were? Was it just just not knowing exactly how it would further evolve, and therefore like expectation setting was not really on point? Or was it just hiring people based on experience but not cultural fit, or vice versa? Or was there like an element that you could point back to, like that was kind of the challenge that we undergo?
Yeah, so I myself personally wasn't involved like day to day into that business, but what we had as one of our experiences, that we soon discovered that our main user base is gonna be is in United States, and we ourselves are based in Europe, so naturally there are some nuances, starting from the most, in a way, simple, the time zone and time difference between the continents. But then when we as well got recommendations that we're gonna need like some at least salespeople present on the ground over there in the United States. So we hired some people we started to work with, but as well we saw that without any person from like a HQ that was working already for the company for some time, has the cultural knowledge, knows from the grounds how business in general works for us. For them it was relatively difficult to work it out because, first of all, they used slightly different sales techniques than we here in Europe, and communication as well is a bit like delayed, at least by several hours. So yeah, there were some nuances, and then we needed to like regroup. So now we have people, some of them even from here sent to United States, who as well once again starts this on the ground sales unit for us over there, and it seems to work out this time way better because they have the knowledge from like a main company, and it's not like just visiting HQ a couple times for several days and trying to get into the company, as we are not like a fully remote company where everyone is remote, and it's let's say a different environment. In our case, most of the people are in the single office or single locations. We do have multi locations, but still there are places where you typically go to the office, you interact with colleagues on a daily basis, and that creates a bit different environment. So for those like completely remote employees, that's naturally more difficult to onboard and to get to know the company.
Mm-hmm. No, that would make sense. What can you say about the balancing of still keeping the B2C business, just flowing, making sure that everything runs smoothly, while also adding that B2B side of the business? Is it also someone that just needs to split in half and just make sure that the one is being managed and the other one is being launched, or do you really hire someone extra to have that new B2B side taken care of?
Yeah, so at least from our experience, I would say that you need to dedicate completely separate workforce for that, as the businesses are quite different, and naturally, if same person would be split across two sides, let's say even a developer, so naturally, when something happens in the main business, the one that makes money for you at the moment, all the focus will be over there, and that new arm will be always delayed and with a lesser focus. So we as well understood that, and basically we dedicated people who worked completely just on this project, and the team was as well always expanding with whatever needs they had. So naturally, some people from consumer product went to B2B side, so would bring some know-how that we have already. But anyways, then as they switch, they are working full-time just for this product, so they don't have to split their time and focus.
Yeah, I think that's good advice indeed. If you want to make it work, make sure that you have full attention to it, dedicated workforce to it. You also mentioned in the preparation that in terms of marketing and sales tactics, strategies, you were actually kind of surprised of the differences there were between B2C and B2B, while actually the product in essence is kind of the same. So can you maybe highlight a little bit what were the biggest differences you encountered?
Yeah, so both sides of the business are SaaS. So in a way, people or companies come, they subscribe to the product, they pay either monthly or yearly, bi-yearly, whatnot. So in a way, it seems like everything is quite like easy, straightforward to run the same way as you run consumer business. But on a business side, as companies has some nuances, they require specific server location, they require specific setup or whatnot. So naturally, quite some part of the business is like a custom tailored. And for that, the sales cycle is naturally way longer and not that straightforward. So like on a consumer side, sometimes we would get an email from a user asking for like, can I have a better discount, or can I have maybe this or that location server? But usually you do not adapt to like a single consumer. While for the businesses, it's quite common that you do specific things. And in their case, they had one of the options that you can simply inquire for whatever basically you need. So just writing an email with a specific requirements that your business has. And then our sales and tech people would look into it, would build a proposition for you, send it back. Then the negotiations typically starts, and you go through the sales process. So even the tracking of leads is like in a way different, because on a consumer side there's no leads. It's either sale or no sale. Subscription happened, and you have money in the account, and user has active product. While for the business, as small businesses, so typically you have a short sales cycle. But when you start to approach bigger size businesses, typically as well the sales process gets prolonged, and yeah, then tracking it even back to which marketing activity has brought you this, it gets complicated. And then distributing the value, like let's say on a consumer side, so typically you look at channels that user was using to visit your website. If it was multi-channel, so you can distribute the value, and that in a way straightforward already process. But when it's a B2B sale, so let's say initial inquiry maybe was through the website, but then a lot of people was involved from sales, from tech, from client success side, and then trying to understand, so to which point, how much of the value should I attribute, and how can I replicate this process for the next time. That was what was like actually completely different from a consumer business side. So yeah, their marketing team is a bit of a different setup as well.
Yeah, super interesting what you said there about the attribution. I would say that I would argue or think that it's still possible to do such an attribution exercise, even though you have like that sales team, because I would just think that's like a different channel. So why do you say that it is still harder? Is it just because it's not as data driven, in the sense that not every touches is being captured as well as in a marketing first approach?
As this part of the business was and still is relatively new for us, so, and the setup is new, and the sales aren't happening just on the website, so you need to connect all the data points, and typically that takes as well time and learning. So naturally we had several databases, like on the Salesforce there was a communication between salespeople and potential clients, while some of that information was as well present on the data sets from the website. And even connecting these two isn't that straightforward, at least initially. So that one, let's say, level of complexity. And the other thing is that like on the consumer side, so typically regardless of actual user, they have to choose from like whatever is on your plate. Let's say we have a monthly plan, we have yearly plan, and 2-year plan, or maybe a bundle proposition. But basically on the B2B side, when you get inquiry, you can say, okay, so either it was completed and converted into actual company paying for our service or not. But then you want to find the ones that are of a greater value with a high invoices for you. But on the initial point, typically you don't have that sense what kind of a user it's gonna be. But then again, we started to look more into B2B side, so we as well discovered some initial signals, like if someone is outreaching to you from generic inbox like Gmail or something like that, so most likely that's gonna be like a low value customer for you in most of the cases, because they typically would be like a single seed businesses or small entities in the most of the cases. So again, you can even differentiate to which sales team or salespeople you will gonna assign this inquiry. And then you start to employ more and more different tools that helps you enrich the data that you are getting. So when you see the company domain, you naturally go and check, so what size of the company and what business vertical are they working, so you know already what you can propose to them. So it's more complex versus the consumer side. But of course, there are options how you can make it more like standardized in a way.
Yeah, because from my understanding, is it not at all self-served for B2B? Or could you also say, I'm just going to self-serve myself, get my VPN to the website, just do it without any sales interaction at all? Is that possible as well?
Yes, it's both ways. So
Right.
now you can either subscribe from, let's say, specific straightforward product and do all the setup on your own. You can as well inquire through the specific form what you need. And as well, we have the outbound sales team that is proactively approaching different businesses and tries to bring them on.
Hey there! Are you letting your marketing and sales teams leverage the power of deep data? If not, you may want to check out Dealfront. It is Europe's leading go-to-market platform. And Dealfront draws from 3 channels of data: EU company databases, multilingual web crawling, and trigger events. And so this allows you to identify accounts exhibiting genuine buying intent, pinpoint key decision maker, access their contact details, and seamlessly integrate with your CRM for streamlined operations. With deep data comes a deep understanding of how to reach your revenue potential. Oh, and have I mentioned that Dealfront was born and raised in Europe? Therefore, no need to worry about data compliance. They know all about it. Learn more about Dealfront at wearesales.com/Dealfront. Again, that's wearesales.com/Dealfront. And now, back to the episode.
Yeah, because that might then be specific to the VPN business, which I'm not super knowledge in. But if you get like a VPN, can you do it for part of the business, or does it by definition need to be the same VPN provider for the entire business? Meaning that, can you do like a land and expand strategy, or when you get a customer, does it need to be immediately for the entire business?
No, and I would say in many cases it starts with let's say a one team or a few employees that needs remote access. It might be the company that is like quite a centralized and works in the office and gets the access to their infrastructure just by being, let's say, in the building and connected right away to the network of the company. And maybe you have just a couple remote employees who needs to get specific access to in-house infrastructure. So it might be that one team or one person is even using our product initially, and then it expands in the company. In some large enterprises, I believe, it might be that different business units are using different providers, and when it becomes like a really big topic for them, then they look at centralized solution. So which one of the providers should we just choose and stick with for entire organization?
Gotcha. What can you then say about the target setting at the beginning? Because if you're entering that B2B space and you have not had any history with it before, I can imagine it's kind of hard to say, all right, by next quarter, by the end of next year, we need to reach those numbers. So how did you guys went about it? And also, what did you then also communicate to the sales team in terms of expectations?
Well, so initially we started from this inbound sales. So it was slightly, let's say, easier. It was mainly driven by marketing team. that worked on the website and the traditional digital channels, how to bring in traffic. And as well, we worked already with that while we just were creating the product. So we had already initial inquiries, and we saw what potential, let's say, conversion rates might be. What's the cost per click in different channels. So based on that, we could kind of set initial target. And naturally, when you set, let's say, a first year target, you expect that it will be really, in many cases, off the target that you set. And it can be in both ways, either way below or in some cases multiple times over what your expectations were initially. And that what was happening as well in our case. So naturally, you just set specific targets, but you let team know that we should do a short sprints. Let run commercial for a 1 week max, and let's see if the traffic gets any attraction. If they, let's say, spend some time on our website, if they try to go to a checkout or not, and you set initial proxies of success, let's say. And based on that, you set a next month target. So initially, we were working with just a monthly targets, and naturally over the time we started to shift to quarterly to yearly plans. So yeah, initially you just need to react fast and don't plan for a long term from day one, I would say.
Well, that's interesting. I was also asking because I know that for salespeople, I mean, at least for many salespeople, their salary is tied to the target that's being defined. So I was also wondering, how was the compensation structure for the sales team, in that specific context?
So as initially most of the sales were inbound, so it was rather simple in this sense. But when we started to have a sales team, so as well, we had initial a motivational, I would say, part of the compensation set by the outside consultants who are experienced in this field. So they brought in for us the scheme how we should motivate each stage of a sales cycle, and what motivational structure has to be in place. Because we didn't knew how much of a companies typically you can outreach, let's say, in a day, and what's the success rate. So basically, they gave us some initial knowledge, and naturally over the time you see what actual success metrics are for your specific business. So then you adjust them. But initial idea was as well from the consulting company.
Yeah. All right. That's actually good advice. Just work also with people, experts that have the experience, that know how to advise you well. Also, something I wanted to ask you is the aspect of maybe having to move up markets. Maybe you are in that phase right now. I'm not sure. Maybe you can explain more about it. But can imagine that if you start from a B2C perspective, you might also have a lot of solopreneurs at the beginning, people that are kind of consumers but actually have a business, and so they are considered B2B but could have been potentially B2C. But now that you have that B2B motion, I can also imagine that, the bigger the accounts, the more interesting it becomes. And so you have to make that move up market. Maybe just for context, when was it exactly that you started the B2B branch? And then how is this moving up market tied to what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so customers from B2B, naturally, we had from a really early days, we just weren't aware of them. But when we started to actually sell to B2B, understanding that, so it was somewhere early in 2019. Initially we were just looking at really, as you say, small or medium companies. Of course, the definition of small and medium is as well a bit different in different environments. But for us, as you was as well referring, we had a lot of solopreneurs or really small startup companies, or maybe not startup companies, but companies with 1 or 2 seats only. And soon we as well discovered that, yeah, naturally, if you have like a one client with 100 seats, so it brings you way more value typically. So we started to focus more and give more attention to a bit higher businesses. And that was, I would say, in a way, quite early on. But as well, over the time, what we see that quite some businesses, and especially these, let's say, startup businesses, some of them naturally died out because a lot of startup initiatives goes away rather soon. But quite some of them actually became successful companies, and their expansion was together with us. So that was like a really nice, and still is a really nice moment when you have a company acquired as your client, let's say some 4 years ago, and it was maybe just 5 seats, and now you see they are buying a couple hundreds of seats from you. So you know that the company that you are serving is successful, and as well that leads to your success.
And so, like, a couple of reflection questions. Like, if you have to look back, like, what was the biggest learning you've had in that transformation or that transition, or I should actually say diversification of the business?
Well, so the first thing that if you go to do something similar, so yeah, do it like a full feet and rather allocate either from current resources, specific people, or hire new ones that are like 100% focused on that. The split of the focus doesn't bring pretty much any value. For a very short time, yes, some people can work as a consulting forces for that new established business because they know already quite some things. They can help to launch things, but if you want to actually develop and work on a long term, so you need rather to invest like 100% from pretty much day one. So that was, I would say, one of our key learnings, and happily we didn't like made a mistake here, running it for a long time on just the shared resources.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. I was wondering, like, if you would have to do it again, all over again, adding that new B2B branch again at NordVPN, and you would have to describe like a step-by-step approach of doing it, like what would be step 1, step 2, and so forth?
Well, so I can mostly speak, let's say, from the marketing or in a way as well some sales side, not from running the business itself, or especially not building the product, which is not my specialty. So I would say, yeah, you need to focus and understand that specific business category vertical really well, and build your infrastructure. So by that I mean the marketing infrastructure, because for us it was a lot of times when we run specific initiative and then we see that we cannot actually attribute the value if it was created or wasn't. So yeah, having a good infrastructure for that specific business purpose. So having connected your Salesforce or whatever other software you are using with a website, so you could efficiently track which activities are working for you, and as well, especially on an early stage. So try to split them in as many steps as you can, so you could spot early on, because typically if you just will be looking at a final sales point, it might take like a month for something to actually get closed after the initial marketing activity. So rather you have a lot of proxy points, which tells you if it goes in the right direction, because otherwise your marketing experiments will take really long time. So you need somehow to shorten that, because you need to be fast here, because that's where you spend money, and that might be where you lose money if you don't know it really fast if it's gonna work out or not.
I love that. You can definitely only improve it if you measure it. Rytis, thank you so much. Is there a way that you can use this platform for? I don't know if you guys are hiring at NordVPN. Maybe you want to do a shout out for certain roles that you guys have open, or any other shout out, call to action you want to do?
Yeah, actually, we are always having quite some openings. So basically, if you would go to nordsecurity.com, over there in a career section, you would see different openings, both for B2B and consumer side of the businesses, and different brands as well of ours. So just visit us and yeah, join us.
Awesome. Rytis, again, thank you so much for coming on the show, for sharing that experience. I think the community will definitely like it, especially if they are coming from a B2C background and are thinking of diversifying their business with a B2B branch as well. So again, Rytis, thank you so much. Wishing you nothing but the best, and see you next time.
That's it. We've once again reached the end of an episode. I just really appreciate you all spending the time. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And until next week with a fresh new episode.